President of Club Societies and Student Engagement. We have 4 candidates for this position. We have James Browne, Coyle Diez, Lorna Sexton, and Jonah Worcester. We're going to follow the same format as last time, except because of multiple candidates, we are going to have an introduction speech from each candidate, followed by questions for all candidates, followed by questions for individual candidates. Again, if at any point you want to make a point of information or you're wrong, hands up first. Please be polite, and we're going to get started. I'm going to start with James. So if you want to make a brief introduction, 3 minutes, and then pass on.
I was going to stand up, sit down. What do you think?
Sit down.
Let's sit down. Let's sit down.
Sit down.
Let's sit down.
Democracy.
Okay. I am going to stand. You know what? I'm going to stand. Okay. I'm trying to find a good. Say when. When's a good volume? Now? Here? Thanks. My name is James Browne. I'm in final year law. I'm 22 years old, and I've been involved in clubs and stocks of all shapes and sizes in my 4 years here. The main thing I want to stress to you tonight, I suppose, is that all 4 of us are running here tonight because we're all passionate about clubs and stocks in some form or another. We've all been very involved. So the main thing I'd like you all to consider is while we all stress how fun we are out in the campaign, you also have to consider that this is a job and a difficult job, and who can not just promise you things, but who can deliver on the promises that they're making, and who can really make an effect and make a change for clubs and societies in the office. So what I'd like you to consider when you're voting is who is going to be a strong leader, and I'm suggesting to you that I can be a very strong leader in the SU. I can be a transparent leader in the sense that I will be as available as I can to you. I will hold more Club and Stocks Council meetings if the Club and Stocks Council desire it. I will help fund clubs and societies as best as possible. As someone who's been a treasurer for 3 of his 4 years in the college, I have a very good understanding, I feel, about what kind of capitation clubs need, and I feel that it's needed someone who will not just say that he can do these things, but can really fight with the college. That if they say that they want to cut back on funding because they're planning to build €90 million buildings in the college in the next 3 years, that doesn't help us here right now, the people who are attending the college. So I feel that I offer over my rivals a really strong voice who can really stand up and say, you know what, it's all well and good planning for the future, but right now that doesn't help any of us. On top of that, going forward, I also want to give you all the opportunity to promote your clubs and societies, and I plan to do that through getting, hopefully but most likely, I'm going to say Cormac, because he's running on the post for newspaper editor, get the newspaper up and running, more than likely in an online fashion. That seems to be, he spoke earlier today about that his proposal for the newspaper was to go forward in an online fashion, and I agree with that. And I'd also like to help make organising clubs and stocks much easier through using the website that's currently being developed and hopefully finished by the end of Eric's term. And in addition to that, have a full events calendar so everybody knows what every other club or society is up to, and also that when you need to book rooms, that you know which rooms are available, so you're not asking, hey, is this room available, and be told by Neve that it's not, and going through a process of elimination to figure out what rooms you need, that you can go online, you can book your room, you can see which rooms are taken, which rooms are free, and just have an overall more efficient system. So how am I for time?
Pretty tight.
That's about good?
We'll finish there.
Yeah, okay. So with all that said, I hope you'll consider James Browne for Clubs and Societies.
Hi guys, my name is Diez. Some of you may know me, some of you may not, but I presume you all know me. So basically, I'm a final-year student in psychology and science, and basically I have 5 points that I'm going to do. So my first point is the website, okay? So I want to redesign the website to be a Maynooth website. I want it to be an easy website that is good, because if you currently go on the website, it's all over the place. And I know Eric is redesigning it, but he's redesigning it in an administration way. He's not redesigning the website. So I want the main focus on the website. I want to redesign the website in a way that is for you, for students. Sorry. A bit nervous. Sorry. So on the website, okay, I also want to add in okay, I want to add a live calendar. a live timetable for you guys. So basically you'll be able to select through this calendar to events that you want. It's easy to do. I've talked with the computer science student, I've talked with IT departments. They said it's something they can do and it's not that difficult. Then I'm going to leave that point aside and go into my commuter space. Now a lot of people have been asking about this. It's simple. One part of my job, if I get elected, is student engagement. Commuters' biggest problem with commuters is that when they're waiting for a bus to come off the bus, they have nowhere to go. The commute room is always few, the library is always busy. So I want to turn the venue, which during the day is not really used, into a place that commuters can go and relax. It's really simple to do. I've been talking to the general manager, people. It's viable, it's easy, and it's not that expensive. Okay? Sorry. My third thing, not my second, that was my second, is Club and Stocks newsletter. One thing as being part of Club Society is that when you win something or do something, it's only within the club societies that you actually know what's going on. So I want to create a newsletter that comes out every month or every 2 months that basically expresses all the achievements, events, and everything that club societies do that we send out to all students. That all students will be able to know. I want to bring the MSU to the students. My fourth point is innovation, which is a really big one. So basically, first I want to do a pre-Thursday campaign. Basically telling everyone about all the club and society that's going on Thursday. So when they come in, they know what's going on and they can ask good questions. I also want to tell students to bring €2. As anyone who's done Thursday, you know students don't bring €2. And I also want to try get the ops team in there with buckets of €2 to give out change. So that students, because the biggest issue I always find on Thursdays is that no one has money or they only have notes. I also want to redesign the art spot. As you all seen, the posters in the art spot are all over the place. I want to redesign in a way that's efficient. So I want to do boards by day. So you have a Monday board, Tuesday board, Wednesday board, and Thursday board, and Friday board. Sorry. So when you know what day you're free, you go to the board, which is corresponding to the day. So you know, so it's all cleared up. Because when you go into art spot, you do not know what's going on. You have to look for posters, and they're all over the place. I want to make it in a system which is efficient. It will save up printing costs. It will save paper. Because if it's all organized, there's no need to have 5 posters all around the place because you know what's going on. The other thing, then I'm going to my fifth and last point is equality. Currently, all club societies don't get listened to, and it's hard to do, and I understand that, and everyone does their best to try to do it. But what I want to do is when club societies do special events or capitation, I want to get them to come into me and discuss to me why they're applying for stuff. Because the biggest problem with capitation, and I know it's a lack of funding as well, is that no one understands what they're applying for. I've learned this personally because when we apply for stuff and no one knows what the hell my sport is or club or society, if you don't understand it, you can't fight for it. So by understanding what people are trying to do and trying to get, I can fight for them in a better way and get them what they want, hopefully. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Hi, I'm Lorna, I'm 22. Ali Murphy, stop taking the video. I'm currently very involved in the Student Union. I currently sit on the exec, I'm the social science representative. I've experience in both club and societies, camogie, rugby and business. I judged at BICS last year, so I got an international or national even view of societies that go on elsewhere, not just this college as well. And I also went to USI National Congress last year, so I was discussing things there. My manifesto focuses a lot on student engagement. So there's an extracurricular award that everyone, not a lot of people know about it. So 2,000 people graduate each year and 16 people get it. So it should be every 1 or 2. There's a lot of things that went on lately, like Pride got to galas, so anyone in Pride Stop should really be getting that award. Cool Up won a big award last year. 2 girls sitting right there got an All-Star, well nominated for an All-Star 2 weeks ago, should really be getting that award. My next thing is about training. So there's not enough training for clubs and stocks as well. So I'd like conflict resolution workshops as well. Stuff for dealing with spreadsheets, simple things like that are not done enough as well. Next thing is funding and facilities. So a lot is relying on capitation. We should be looking externally for capitation as well. So if you notice the rugby club, they're sponsored by Rye Valley Foods. They take in 20 scholars a year and they can afford to do this because they are sponsored by them. The Business Society is an example of that as well. We're looking at Ernst & Young. So it takes a lot of pressure off the university as well to get that kind of funding. That's basically my manifesto. I'm sure I'll be drilled in it. So vote for me.
Aloha, my name is Jonah. First of all, yes, I is paradise. Clubs and societies have shaped my entire experience in Maynooth University. From when I first read the Maynooth Prospectus and saw all the societies and clubs had to offer and all the experiences I could have. And naturally in first year I joined 22 and went to as many as I possibly could. And then second year I got more involved and co-founded a society and also worked within the Maynooth Students Union in the operations team and even earned my own Hawaiian shirt for hard work. I've also worked in the Students Union in California and also continue to work in the Students Union this year, working in these institutions inside and out, seeing how they function, and also working within the university in the international office and the admissions office. One thing I want to do is make a stronger link between the university and the SU, so there's more cooperation for bigger events like Christmas Day, or the Global Fair, or the Careers Fair. I want to better define the role of student engagement, so engaging with the larger student body, like the Kilkenny campus, who are completely left in the dark and not getting enough communication towards them, to better engage with the commuters. One idea that I have is a monthly event where clubs and societies get together within the SU. We make a deal with the South Campus accommodation so that commuters can stay the night there and enjoy this large evening event within the SU. I want to, excuse me, I have a cold, and it's been driving me crazy this whole 3 days. I want to improve communication among clubs and societies as a whole, keeping up monthly clubs and SOCs councils. I want to introduce a weekly poster that will be published online and also physically in the SU, where clubs and societies would submit to it so that it would be there publicly for everyone to see what is happening a week in advance before what's going on. Also with the club and SOCs councils, I want to make them more personal, more fun, which is what clubs and societies are about. So have name tags, have us actually talking to each other, knowing that's the president of this society, that's the president of that society, so we can all be more communicative with each other and understand everything better. I want to, oh God, I'm really worried I'm going to lose my throat. I want to, and with encouraging more community events to happen daily within the SU and with clubs and societies, of course, as well. And yes, they are my main points. And my final point is that with student engagement, I want to make more student jobs within the SU. This year, the ops team has been diminished to a lot lower numbers. Being in the ops team helped out my student experiences and my finances. I want to give those opportunities back to students again, and also create more student-led positions within the SU. So you have the core ops team, which would be about 7 people. There'd be about 3 for facilities, which is needed considering the rubbish that is left in the arts block, in the common room, that no one just cleans out themselves. That's what the ops team is there for. And also within the SU, the admins that are at the desk in the SU, and also a rep that would help out with clubs and societies, even if it's just carrying tables, chairs, whatever have you. And make sure the ops team is brought back, and that there's more student-led positions, so there'd be people that would be like the marketing team that would hand out flyers for events and so on, and do the fun stuff. Because, as we say in my old home Hawaii, ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind.
When I start with questions now, I have a whole heap here. I'm going to start with a person each time. So your first, Diego. What is your go-to karaoke song? And your go-to karaoke song.
Yeah.
Which was?
Your go-to karaoke song.
Oh.
And then pass it on. Sing it on.
There's so many. Barbie girl.
I like to think I'm a traveling white chick, so what's it called? Making my way downtown?
Anything by Tenacious D.
Oh boy, it's too. it's almost too easy to not say, "Yow, I feel good."
Just remind candidates you can ask me to repeat the question. I know if anyone gives a long answer, do ask me to repeat it or anything like that. Okay, moving on to more meaty topics. How do you feel about the league table and does it need to be reformed?
Feisty.
I think it's a good way of motivating committees. Like I think it's, I think like committees like business last year, I think they're getting recognition for it because we're actually top of it now, and we came from nothing last year. So it's good to kind of see your results as a committee going forward. I think it has a good scoring system at the moment. You like the 1 to 5 stars. I think there's probably to put too much emphasis on the league table as well. So I don't think it's the most important issue for a club and socks officer to do that.
I believe that the league table there should be more of a push from the students' union if it is being done and the clubs and socks officer, and that it should be published monthly so that there is a consistent look at where each club and socks stand, and maybe to minimize the amount of criteria to add to it, because it just seems a bit confusing for some of them seeing all the different things. To simplify it so that everyone can understand more and everyone can keep more up to date with it.
Okay, so I've kind of as when I've been on Club and Socks Council, I've always had a kind of a love-hate relationship with the league table. I was on the league table committee that Eric set up last year to revamp it so I helped revamp it to the state it's in currently, and I don't want to steal someone's credit, but I think the star ratings thing was one of the things I pitched and is being currently used. I think that it does need work, but I think more than me deciding what it does or doesn't need, I would say that it's important to take it to Club and Socks Council. I think it'd be one of the first things to take to Club and Socks Council and get it to work for them, and let the Club and Socks themselves decide what they wanted to do and what they wanted to achieve as a whole. So they wanted to promote, because they do lots of events. I think in a way, right now, what it encourages is in its current form. I think it encourages lots of events, but not necessarily lots of good events. Just doing events and events and events will get you lots of points. The star system, in its intended purpose, was going to kind of counteract this, but it sort of doesn't. On the point of just on the point of that Jonah made about publishing it monthly. I think the idea of not publishing it monthly, or I think the idea currently is that it isn't getting published until the second semester, so that after month 1 is in October, when the society, let's say business, who do so much, are 1,000 points clear, that all the smaller societies don't say, well, that's it, and give up, and then don't stop submitting for the rest of the year. So I think I prefer that it only gets posted in the second semester. So basically I would say just the short version of my answer is let clubs and societies council decide what they want the league table to do.
Okay, so when you think of, the original point of the league table was to get the club and societies to engage with students. But currently, throughout this year, I've noticed it's more making events for the league than actually engaging with students. So I would like to push the focus back to making events for the students. Because the biggest problem I see is that we make events for league points. We try to do everything for league points without going to the original purpose, where it was trying to engage students that are not around campus or that don't usually go to the events to come to the events. And by doing this, you get rewarded for increasing participation. So my one thing is, I wonder, it doesn't help clubs or societies that are small. It gives more points to clubs and societies that are big, that are out there, and it damages clubs that are small. Because I know some small sports don't have competitions, where some big sports have competitions every week. Yes, the clubs with more competitions get more points, even though small clubs don't. And I think that is unfair. There has to be a system that takes that into account. So I'd like to make changes with all the clubs and societies to make it in a way that's more efficient and fair, and basically make it more equal for all clubs and societies. And I think that's it. Thank you, Ms. Carey.
Mr. I don't want to say that, Diego, but surely the club society does more activities, deserves more points.
Yes, I understand that, and that is important, but there are some clubs that do not have competitions. and it's not to their own wrongdoing. Where, for example, we take sport like soccer, archery, for England, we have a league set up not by our own club, but by an external club, and there are some sports in this campus that don't have these competitions set up for them. So they're getting penalised because we have something pre-existing, and as a new club, they shouldn't be penalising something they don't have. I think that answers that.
Okay, a lot of you have brought up the same issues from commodities, commuter space, online calendars, websites, etc. What sets you apart from the other 3 people up here? You go first. What sets you apart in terms of ideas and stuff? Everyone has the same ideas, basically.
As I said earlier, I have 2.5 years experience working within student union environments, both abroad and away. One note about the newspaper is I have helped co-found a newspaper that is actually currently live right now with 2 societies. As well as that, I have an idea of how to make an efficient professional paper with approaching the English and media department, which I've seen work very effectively abroad that I believe could work here. As well as that, I also have links within the university that I could implement right away if elected within the international office, which I believe promoting the study abroad fair, which is better for student engagement and also for getting more involved with the open days and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Go that way.
James first, yeah.
Can I hear that again, Andy? Just
Yeah,
the things we were saying.
a lot of the same issues have been brought up by each of the candidates, e.g. commuter, online calendar, website. What sets you apart?
On the website. I suppose what in particular I think a lot of what I want to do with the website, I think that it needs to really serve. It's going to serve more of a purpose of really publicising everything and anything that the clubs and societies do, and I hope that, like I said, with the next newspaper editor, or the potentially next newspaper editor, that together we can really set up something that's quite functional. On the commuter events is something. I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about the commuter events because it's the one thing that doesn't appear in my manifesto that appears in the other 3. I think it's a very tricky. It's a very tricky scenario to talk about commuter events, and I think it's almost a poison chalice for me to even mention it here, because commuter events, that gets out, I'm going to bring this nearer too. Commuter events are, and I'm sure all 4 of us are well aware that for people, if you've been involved on committees and running clubs and societies events for so long, that commuter events are so tricky that I think that one of the things I suppose that sets me apart is that for me, I suppose the way to involve commuters for me is to not treat them differently, but to involve them just as much. For example, with my team tonight, there are plenty of commuters who are here tonight with me, and at least one of them, I'll be offering them crash myself. And I think this is the kind of way to involve commuters is to not to necessarily say that they're different and that we should get commuters to meet other commuters because they both commute. I don't think this is necessarily the kind of thing. I think commuters should get to know non-commuters and people who live in Maynooth, so that hey, you can stay with someone who lives in Maynooth, and now you don't necessarily feel like that you don't feel out of the loop, because you should get to know people who do live here as opposed to only getting to meet other commuters, and at best you're getting a travelling buddy going home. But I would hope that instead, because so many, and I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we said that we could push away from the fact that the majority of our events happen during the evenings. So I think the main thing I would say is that my vision would be to involve people here and get people to know each other here, as opposed to some of the other ideas which are more commuter-centric, I suppose, or involving commuters with commuters, I guess. And I won't ramble on for too much longer. So.
A lot of the same issues have been brought up by each of the candidates: commuters, online calendar, website, basically all campaigning for the same stuff. Why are you different?
Okay, I'm going to go with the commuter thing. My manifesto doesn't say commuter events, so I just like for that theory, I want a commuter space. Because as part of Club and Stocks and student engagement, I'm taking the student engagement as being making the commuter space. Because the whole point of commuter space is that when I talk to commuters, their biggest problem is they're waiting around. And we have areas in the college are not being used, and I want to utilise them. So the commuter space, the whole idea of a commuter space is turning the venue, when it's not being used, into a space where commuters can come and relax when their bus arrives and when they have to wait an hour or two, or before their bus leaves. So that's on that. On the website is that, when I was talking to a bunch of students, the website is the biggest problem. They say it's not usable, it's inaccessible, they don't know how to use it. I want to redesign it with the work that Eric's doing, because Eric is working on, as again, the administration side of the website. I want to work on the MSU website and make it more efficient, make it look more Maynooth. Because currently you go on it and it's kind of hard to find. When I was trying to find information, it's very hard to get. So I want to make the website more designed to students, so it's easier for students to use. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
I think what sets me apart from the rest is I actually commute, and not a lot of people believe it. I've still managed to get this involved, and I think if I can relate this to students, if I can do it, they can as well. I think it's very important, as well, that way, that I can do that. As regards to the website as well, I think the university as well are quite good at the library website and booking rooms there. I think we can mirror that. So I think that's a place to start with anyway, if we can work with them towards it. Yeah.
What would you do to help? What would you do to help new societies and clubs be created and achieve quicker? Yeah. So for new clubs and societies, and I'll tie that in with how do you plan to help the small societies on campus grow? So new clubs and societies and small societies grow.
Go first. No. Yes. What was the last part of that again?
Small societies.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
This one?
Both of them. New ones and small ones.
What would you do to create? What would you do to help new societies and create and achieve quicker?
New clubs and socks.
Small ones, the small ones.
Okay, I'm going to think about this one again.
Yeah.
Okay, newer clubs and smaller clubs, and societies. So, I set up my own new and small society when I was in first year, which was wrestling, and we had a base of about 30 people and a budget of €200 in first year, and we had €400 in our second year, and that was the most wonderful thing in the world. I thought €400 was the absolutely most amazing thing that we could ever possibly achieve, to get so much money. 400, I was delighted. So as far as getting them up and running, it's tricky. From our position, I think that as far as getting set up, I think that Mary McCourt is an absolute saint for getting things done and giving you all the information you need to get them set up. So I suppose, really, I guess you want to just encourage them and facilitate them. So I guess that goes back to being what I said originally about being available and talking about making Club and Stocks Council more regular, because if you're on a committee, you can attend Club and Stocks Council, and there I am, and there's my there's all of us, all the organisers for Club Society. Everyone who's there is a committee member in some shape or form. So really, I guess the best way to do this is to facilitate each other and work with each other to help newer societies up and running. The best way that clubs and societies as a whole of any shape or size is each other. So I would say the best way is to work with each other, is to get the help of other clubs and societies who know what they're doing in any capacity. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
New societies and small societies, yeah? Okay, so first I'm going to start with new societies. It's simple, encouragement. The hardest thing about making new societies is trusting yourself, believing in yourself. So simple encouragement can go a long way. I want to give them all the support they can get and just encourage them to try achieve the best. What's the point of just making an okay society when you can push for the best? Because even failures make your biggest learning curves. And that's why I want to push. I want to push that even with some slight encouragement, and I will give as much encouragement as I can, because you know I'm Diego, I'm way too hyper for not giving encouragement, that I want to encourage them to do their best. Because simply just believing in something will push them further than anything else. And with hopefully my experience with all the societies and clubs I've been in, will also help me make them better. Whereas that was new society. Now, small societies, listening. The biggest problem with small societies, from what I've heard, is that no one listens to them. I want to be there for listening to them, hear their problems, and try help them become bigger and better. I want to push them further to be the best they can and try to get as much members as possible, because it's simply by believing in someone you can make them do so much more. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much.
What would you do to help new societies and clubs be created and achieve quicker than they are, and how do you plan to help the smaller societies on campus grow? So essentially, what would you do for new clubs and societies and small ones?
I think promotion is a big factor there. I know there are MMA started up this year, and Diez did fantastic promotion of that. And AFL started up this year as well, and just to get a really good leader on board and to give them all the promotion they want.
How do you help new ones and small ones?
Yeah, it's just advertising and promotion, setting them up on the right, like standing fairs day as well, making sure that they've all their posters and they're all organised as well. And just giving them like the right, obviously that they fill out application forms and all that, but giving them the right funding as well is extremely important for everything they need to do.
Well, I've seen this year, especially with not just new societies, but also revived societies that they went extinct last year and they came back this year. And whether it be because it's all first years on the committee or people that have never been active before, they're not really sure what to do. And I believe the biggest thing that can be done to help that is with training, more efficient training, not just PowerPoints for a day and hearing from the SU officers, which is still effective, but there needs to be more hands-on training experience. So I would introduce that within the training wouldn't just be one day, the training would also include another 2 days where it would actually involve socializing with both alumni students that still live within the Maynooth vicinity to still keep them engaged in the Maynooth population, and also to have clubs and society representatives that are willing to give their time to help with giving advice to the other treasurers, PROs, whichever have you, so they can have more awareness and more one-on-one conversations with them so they know more about what's going on. Also make more awareness of how to set up a society. I was asked it just last week from a friend of mine, and I told him the whole thing. You get the 30 signatures, 30 signatures on Clubs and Socks Day, and then you go from there. Then you turn in your form, you get approved, you student numbers, all that stuff. Make more of an awareness of that whole process so they all know how it works. And one thing I always say to people on the open days and stuff is that if there's not a club and society for you, you can make your own. So make more of an awareness to that and make more efficient, consistent training that wouldn't just happen at the start of the year, but also in the second semester when committees would have changed.
Yeah.
Can I just ask Lorna something really quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. In a way you said like it's not.
Okay.
It's just
Is it quick?
in a way you said like promotion of events. But how can you promote one society's event without promoting the other? Like, is that not bias? Like, how would you go about like ensuring that there's not bias when you're promoting an event? Would you do that?
But I think every society deserves to be promoted, like,
Yeah.
especially when they're starting up.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Especially when they're starting up, and like new societies in particular might need a bit of extra help. So I don't think it's unfair to give them a little extra push.
I thought you were just like kind of saying, from what I got was that you were just going to promote the new societies and kind of leave the rest.
No, I just said to give an extra push in the new ones, but everyone still deserves their own promotion.
If you're not happy with their answers, do ask them, because there's a lot of them, and I'm trying to remember what they all said, but I'm not remembering everything they said. So do hold them to answers, make sure they answer what you want to hear, essentially. No, that's all right. Make sure they answer the question. They might answer the way you want to hear it, but make sure you get an answer off them. We're going to move on to capitation. You've all mentioned capitation in some extent. You're all going to fix it, apparently. How are you going to fix it?
I didn't say that I was going to fix it. I said I was going to try and help it make it a fairer process. That's what I'm going to do. Because we received 300 to 400,000 approximately capitation towards club societies. That's given to the SU. Now, what I want to do is give it a fairer system, actually understanding what clubs and societies need and why, when they're applying for special events or capitation, understanding what they're putting down and able to fight for what they're fighting for. So when they do capitation, I can understand when Rovers put down a canoe, or something like. You get what I'm saying? It's like when they put something down that's only unique to their sports or society, that I can fight and explain why they need it, and that's what I'll be trying to do. Not trying to fix it, just encouraging the process and explaining what they're looking for. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think there's any process to fix capitation, or else Sandra will be after us all. I think to look externally to businesses, the community like Intel, Hewlett Packard, Roy Valley Foods are all out there. Surely to God, if people working in there that take an interest in whether it's Pride or Cooloft or rugby or soccer, and they'd definitely be able to give money towards it. Capitation itself is, you have to apply for it. There's a capitation committee, so just we can make an advisory, but we don't decide. So capitation can't be fixed, but it's good to look outside the university to take pressure off us when we're applying for money like that.
The idea of getting external sponsorship, and it's all well and good, but you just listed the 5 or 6 of the biggest clubs and societies in the college. That's not really an option for smaller clubs. What do you think would be an alternative to that?
Well, for Amiga as well, I'm sure there's people working in Intel that like alumni from here that would have graduated, that would be working in there. So it's up to every club or SOC themselves to look for funding. So I encourage them as well to run their own events, like whether it's as simple as a bake sale. Stuff like that is very important to do, just not to rely on capitation altogether. So promotion of events as well, but it's up to every club or SOC as well to look for their own funding. And if they need help, obviously we're here to help.
I didn't exactly say sir.
Oh, we'll take this first for you, okay? Is that okay? Yeah.
I didn't exactly say I'd fix capitation. One thing in my research I've realized with learning about the capitation committee, first of all, is that the accounts, Sandra is not part of the committee for one thing, which I believe
She's definitely part.
she is not part of the
She
committee.
is definitely part.
I've spoken to her personally.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Semantics.
So I believe she should be part of that. There should be more, club societies need more awareness of this committee that sits and how it works. But still keep the online system because that is very efficient. That did work out the best this year. It's just more about, it's the committee itself and the awareness of the committee. And if the person from accounts was in there, then that could help out with the process.
Okay, so the capitation stuff is really important. It's really important to me that the clubs and societies get their capitation. And one of the key things that I want to stress here is that as far as all the candidates go, I feel that really that the college has every and will, I'm sure they will attempt to, as they have done this year. Our capitation is lower this year. Our core capitation is maintained, but our special events funding was slashed. Something ridiculous, something awful. And part of the reason of this is. Yeah, I said core was up, yeah.
You said it was maintained, it went up.
Oh, okay. The core capitation is up, and the special events is way down.
Because core went up.
Because core went up. Okay, so we're clear on that. So this is the kind of thing that needs to be maintained, at least maintained. And I worry that there's potential for it to go down. And I feel that you need someone who is strong enough to argue with the college and the higher ups to say that when if they want to affect this or change this, that someone can stand there and say, no, I think that sponsorship is a good idea, especially for the bigger clubs. Like Lorna was saying, I think that is a good source of revenue for clubs to take. So, but like the point of information we got for the very smaller societies, it's not quite an option. And part of the reason we're having problems taking with our capitation, as I understand it, and I'm sure Eric is ready with a point of information if I get this wrong, is because the college is not telling us exactly how many students there are, and our capitation, of course, should be and is affected by how many students there are, because the more students there are, obviously we need to maintain there's more cash needed to maintain more societies. So if they're not telling us how many students there are registered in the college, I'm sure they know, but they're just not telling us, and that's really important. And I'm sure we all know, and we can feel it this year, is that there are more students here than there's ever been. The college is taking in more and more students because they're building more and more buildings. So they're preparing for the future. Right now it's a tight squeeze with all of the facilities we've got, but at the same time they don't want to give us all the funding we need to maintain our clubs and societies while all this is happening. Okay, so what you need is someone who can go in and say, if you're going to take in all these students, you can at the least let us keep our money, and more to the point, actually tell us how many people actually go here. So that's my gripe, I suppose, with the capitation.
Point of information, yes, you have two.
As I'm aware, a Clover Society is not allowed to look for external funding outside campus. Why, for example,
Are you certain on that?
like that?
That rule doesn't exist. The hospitals raised €3,000 in external finances from local businesses this year.
Who sits on the capitation committee? And do you think it's a good structure?
And you staff? No? Yeah, you staff.
Capitation committee. So Ian Russell sits on it, our student engagement officer. Paul Davis does, and the four sabbats. And Sandra, as I've learned as today, is an advisor. And Mary report.
By the way.
Before Sabbats, Ian
Keep going.
Paul Davis and Mary McCord, and there used to be another committee that the general manager would sit on, which that should be revised. So there should be two. Trick question.
Well, because the question's answered, I'll take the opportunity to say that for as far as the capitation committee goes, we know who sits on it. But I suppose one of the things I propose to be considered is that new people are at it and able to sit on the capitation committee. And I think this is a process that might already be underway. Is that the Club and Stocks Council should probably have a say in the capitation committee. That we ourselves, as committees, we know best what it takes and what goes in to running a club and society. I know myself. From being the treasurer for a very big society and dealing with thousands, with drama, and a very small society, like I said, with wrestling, €200 was the budget for a year. We who manage the clubs and societies know what it takes and know what goes into running our society. So I think, in some capacity, and we can nominate from Club and Stocks Council, who, as members of the students, should stand with their Club and Stocks officer, hopefully me, and have a say in controlling who gets what capitation. Can I?
That not like lead to a Hunger Games challenge.
I can join in that.
I understand the concern that you would. An obvious point that would come up is that if you nominate, say, myself from drama, I'll go in and say drama should get all of the money and nobody else should get any of the money, or because I'm in drama and there's a society I don't like, that they should get less money. Ultimately, they're only one voice of the whole capitation, like of Mary, Paul, Ian, myself, the other sabbats. So if you go in and you try and lowball of the other societies, I think you're not going to last very long in that role.
Can we take Diego's response first to the question and then move on to points of information? Because I have a few myself. Go on.
In saying that you should have representatives from Clubs and Stocks Council, you then saying that you, on your own, are efficient enough to represent them as a whole, you need them more, and then also on the point of saying that new people are needed, forced new sabbats are brought in. Well, four sabbats are then rotating the power, so they're not sus for the people on the capitation
I'm not quite getting the second part of that. On the point of am I?
New spots coming in every year, would they not suffice for new people being brought into captain?
I guess my main point is, and it's not that I'm quite confident in my abilities for arguing and for arguing for capitation, and I feel like I have a good understanding. But I don't want to be the be all and end all and be the only voice who speaks. And I say this is what Clubs and Socks need, because you know what, I have a good understanding from being involved with lots of societies and a couple of clubs. I'm mainly a societies person, I'll say, but you know I can't speak for everybody all at once. You know, I think I'd like to hear, I'd like their involvement, I'd like them to be involved to it, and all of you, and you get to vote on this. You vote on which one of us represents all of us as a whole, but equally the committees, the people who are the most, who are getting the money for their societies, equally have a say in this process. It would probably be a couple. Like let's say 2 or 3, from clubs and from societies who would come forward with us, with whoever is nominated to help have a say in the whole process.
Yeah. So it's positions they all said, and then there's actually been a proposed change to the constitution where they're adding a student body to actually to talk about capitation to make it fair. That I found out through Eric, but that's the proposed change. So there is a change being made to that.
Being proposed.
Being proposed, yes, but it's something that will actually make capitation a lot fairer.
Yeah, so the original question was who sits in the capitation committee? The correct answer is the 4 sabbaticals. Ian Russell is Student Engagement Officer, Paul Davis is Sports Officer, 2 academics which none of you mentioned. And also Mary McCord is there as Secretary, which does not have a vote, which you also forgot to mention. They're not being sassy, I should be sassy. How do you plan on making the capitation process more transparent?
Your first, I think?
Me?
No. Is it?
It was just resting in my account.
Yes, yeah, you went last. Which means you went first. Sorry, it's Jonah first. Jonah first.
Yeah.
Sorry, say the question again?
How do you plan on making how do you plan on making capitation more transparent?
I would make sure that, first of all, clubs and societies are aware of the process of how to apply for it, with the whole procedure, with the new online system that was introduced this year, and with making sure that the committee can be as fair as possible with the. I can't handle it. That's a drink for me.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Was the question on the finances themselves or the process of capitation?
Capitation process transparency, or lack thereof.
Process. That's a tricky one to interpret. The process. I mean, as far as applying for a capitation, we have a process that's available to everyone. So I mean, the process itself is fairly nice. It's very. I'm not fully understanding the question of what about the process isn't transparent. In that we all get the forms and we all fill out the forms. I suppose in terms of the actual applications themselves, I suppose the only thing we can do in that regard is make sure our treasurers are trained in the application, in making the applications, and I suppose as well I'd like to say that hopefully the capitation forms don't change much, if at all, next year, because they usually get tweaks every year, with this and that. So hopefully the system will stay very consistent, so that all of us going forward, when we are training our future treasurers, when I finish a term as treasurer and my next treasurers come in, that I can tell them exactly how the process works, and that hasn't been completely revamped in a whole new sort of system that works. So in terms of the process, I suppose that's the only thing I can say. I think. I hope I've understood that question right.
Do we repeat the question again?
making the capitation process more transparent?
Okay, I'm gonna take it this way in my head. So, one thing I want to do to change the capitation is that when you receive your capitation, is that you get your capitation run back and with the allocated money that you get back. So, for example, if you apply for something, for example, transport, and you applied for 600, you're told you get 300 of that transport. That way, when you get your capitation form, you know where your money was allocated. That you know where the capitation, you decide where the money was going. That doesn't mean that by doing that doesn't mean that the club societies are restrained to that, but I want it just in a way that they can see it, and that's it.
Basically, at the moment you're given like £4 at the start of the year. You don't know how that was decided on. How does the number, who pulled the number out of their head?
Okay. Yes, so when you're applying for it, you have to fill in all the things you want. So I agree with Diego in the fact that it should be broken down and you're getting 400 for this, you're getting 500 for this. You should see why as well you're improved or disimproved from last year. So is there anything you could have done, or I think your bank account number, your figure there should be definitely taken into consideration as well.
It is.
Yes.
Do you think a change is required to the selection of winners at Clubs and Socks Awards?
So I'm getting excited.
Change the criteria for Club and Socks Awards?
No, change is required to the selection of winners. So basically, how winners are selected for the Clubs and Socks Award. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I know you're raring to go on this one.
Sorry.
I'm going to say that in my 4 years here and in 4 years being on committee, I've never once attended Clubs and Socks Awards. Something has come up every single year. It's very disappointing. And this year I won't get to either unless I get elected for this, because I recently resigned from the last committee I was on. So I guess I have too much to say on Clubs and Socks Awards. I don't know how it happened all 3 years that I never got to attend, but I haven't. So and I know Diego's ready to go on with this, so I'm going to pass it to him.
Sorry. I get a bit excited sometimes. So from the at the last union council, I think it was the last union council, it was proposed a new team to change the way the awards were given, because the Club and Socks Council. Sorry, they were both technically at the same one, so that's why I got confused.
Well, that was a different one.
Oh, sorry. Okay, but basically, Club and Socks Council had decided to change this, and a small committee was elected to change the system. So I think it needs to be changed so that it's done by the students. We're a club and society; it's for the students, so it should be chosen by the students, and it's being made in a way, hopefully, that's a fair way that won't be bad.
Sorry. Do you think changes required to the selection of the winners of Clubs and Socks Awards?
So I suppose the individual awards are very good as well. On best society and best club person, it's individual recognition there. I suppose it's probably done on the league table, which isn't entirely fair. So the best club or best society is done on how many league table points you get. So I think that kind of needs to be looked at. Maybe it should be made of 50% that and 50% something else.
You're wrong. There's league table awards and there's also best club or best society awards.
I was about to say that.
Okay, sorry,
I'm wrong. But you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah, it's not a bad system in place, I suppose.
I believe the idea Eric proposed about there being the short list decided of, like, I think it was three or four clubs or societies that would give the presentation to the Clubs and Socks Council on why they should win, and then it be the votes made by the reps at the Clubs and Socks Council would be the fairest way to ensure the winners within the Clubs and Socks Awards. And just to say, love Clubs and Socks Award, Oscars night, like, kind of thing, always a great night.
Okay, moving on. Sorry. committees will you represent clubs and societies and students on? So what university committees will you sit on as elected person? Should you be elected? There you go.
If I remember correctly, it's in the constitution, it's 2, it's the general governing body. No, Clonsocks doesn't do the general governing body, that's other sabats, so my apologies, just trying to remember. It's, oh damn it, sorry, I forgot, so I'm going to pass on, I'm sorry.
I know one of them is Students' Board of Ireland, and I can't remember the rest. Capitulation committee. What was the question again?
What university committees will you sit on as VP CSSE?
Yeah, I know it's Capitulation Committee and Students' Board of Ireland. And probably BICS as well, Board of Irish College Societies.
University committees?
Oh, universities, sorry.
University.
It is the Capitation Committee and the Sports. Sorry. Okay, and that's one point I forgot to look over. One thing I do want to say though in terms of university is I think the SU could get more involved with the international office to better engage with the international students and with their departments. And also the careers office can also be better engaged with. There's more that could be put in place. And also the social justice committee. There's other committees that could be implemented for next year.
You have a question?
I just say something on that.
Yeah, go and say something on that one.
Will I go first or?
If you're saying something on that, go first.
Do you want to go?
I just saw the it relates back to the manifesto as well. I think actually our students' union probably have a really good relationship with our university, probably one of the best in the country, which kind of sets us apart from UCD, DCU. If you look at recently as well, we won an award with the Access Office for our relationship with them there. I think we won a cash prize of £250. A lot of the welfare officers' campaigns as well.
Sorry.
A lot of the welfare officers' campaigns as well, they associate with university faculties and departments. So like our Kids Week, or that relates to the health office with all the free condoms. Sheena's as well with the Access Office and the disabilities. Yeah, and I think Dylan Grace himself sits on 22 committees with the university, so I completely disagree with you there.
I'm not disregarding that. However, there is no SU support this year for the Global Fair, which generates students that are going to represent Maynooth University abroad across the world. And also, there is no support for Social Justice Week this year, which is a very important week. I'm not saying that there isn't already a good relationship with the SU.
So I sit on the Social Justice Committee along with Sheena, the welfare officer.
I sit on the committee too.
Yeah, but there is
Just I think we haven't finished asking candidates what committees you sit on, so guess which one.
I'm happy I was there with myself.
So just remind you the question. The question originally is what university committees will you sit on should you be elected?
Well, I know that one of them is the Health and Safety Board. I'm pretty sure, but the real answer to this question is the actual answer to this question is indefinite, because the SU president can nominate you to sit on any number of boards. I don't think there's actually any fixed boards that you have to sit on. I might be wrong on that, but I know that the SU president nominates you to sit on boards. So as the Club and Stocks officer, you would probably gauge yourself what boards you should be sitting on and which ones aren't necessarily cover your jurisdiction. So that's the answer to that.
Ooh. Sorry.
Yes. The answer to what committees you do have a named seat on the Social Justice Committee, so it's not a presidential decision, it's yours. You also have a seat on the Student Life Committee, which is a subcommittee of academic council and governing authority. It's also a named seat, so it's yours, not presidential. But you are right about the president nominating lots of those. Capitation Committee, did I forget? Probably. The project board meeting for new facilities is the other one, I think. How do you feel about Leonardo DiCaprio finally winning an he is a perfect example of someone who perseveres with no matter the challenge. He is your role model to you.
it?
It is you.
Was it me?
No, who went last time? You went last.
Yeah, you went last, so it's me.
You went first, that means you were first. Jesus, you were the
Come on, Laura.
I'm terrible.
Oh, I'll be third next time. Yeah.
Let's do this.
It's nice to finally get recognition for your all your trying. We currently lost our final that we got into this year, so we did not get that recognition this year. But it's nice to get it. It's nice to get it. Well done. He's a great little man. Well done.
Is it the best part of something?
He's your role model.
Is he my role model?
A role model to you.
A role model.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that like the fact that he finally did it is definitely an inspiration to aspire to, and like you keep going and then you make it happen. And to just relate that with Club and Societies, I returned this year for my year abroad, and the Busking Society had become extinct, and I had to work hard to get it to come back, and then it did, and worked out. And I can definitely relate to that aspiration of fighting very hard for what you want to achieve in your dreams.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. Obviously, as a drama person, it's great to see someone who puts in so many, who puts in so much time and effort into the craft. And I know exactly what goes into putting on a great, or I have an idea at least of what goes into putting on a really good show on drama. With drama, of course, who we compete every year at the Irish Student Drama Awards, and we rarely, if ever, get nominated for things, which is unfortunate, but we do give it our best. I thought personally, as far as Leo goes, in my opinion, of all the things he was nominated for, The Revenant probably wasn't his best. I think The Departed. The Departed is his magnum opus. The Aviator is pretty good too. Good Will Hunting, Sam. Is that what you want to say?
Point of interest, he lost out that year to Forrest Whitaker.
I know, in Last King of Scotland, yeah. Yeah, see, that's the problem because there's so many good things he's up. And what's eating Gilbert Grape too? Another thing yeah, of course. Yeah, okay.
Yes, he's a role model, but at the same time, it's really sad to see the meme now die. But now, guys, there is a new meme now. Because anyone saw when he got the trophy, he was like, "Do you get this done every year?" He's like, "I wouldn't know." Saying that's why he always thinks about the best outcome. I know you
I'm going to move on to questions for individual candidates now.
Don't worry about that.
I'm loving. I just think it's going to be exciting.
Jonah. So, as student, do you have any idea of how to notify or advertise SU jobs? As I've never seen an ad for an SU job.
As I said, the ops team in my second year was the second time that it happened, and they actually had too many jobs. There was over like 20 people, and honestly, it was a mess. Then last year they cut it to 15 people, and this year it became 6, and currently it's about 3 or 4. It's just diminished, and there's just been changes made. It wasn't advertised because they just kept on the same people. I would advertise it like it was in my year, where there was an email sent out. The SU were saying it was there. I remember Mary McCord told me about it in my first year, and that's how I knew about it. And then there was the interviews in August for it. And I would make sure, with bringing the ops jobs back, that there would be advertisement for it to Club and Society, maybe a social media thing, campaign of some sort. Yep.
Point of information, is it? Maybe.
Just to say, I think it's actually kind of unfair to say the SU don't advertise their jobs. I was an orientation leader. I got an all students email like every other single person in the room. So I think that's totally fair.
No, I wasn't saying, I was speaking specifically about the job within the SU. I was talking about specifically those jobs.
Is this a point of information question?
Yes.
Is it relevant?
One of the jobs in the SU, Sandra's assistant was advertising job.ie, like most jobs.
Question was about part-time student jobs, not full-time employment.
Sorry. You said, sorry.
Yes, he was moving towards a volunteer
volunteerism and offering work experience and proper credibility under the new general manager, so you can get better experience to go on to the field work afterwards rather than being paid to sit and watch microwaves.
There is a lot more need for the ops team than just that. There is a lack of cleanup that has been done throughout the university, which the ops team was that void that used to be filled. An ops person is very valuable for Clubs and Socks, even for just moving equipment around and helping out with facilities within the SU, as well as that the admins, which is a current job that's still in the SU. There is at least a solid 6 to 7 people that are valuable for the ops team that should stay, and it would help with the SU overall and with clubs and societies.
James, on to you. You mentioned that you resigned from your last committee position. Why did you resign? Don't forget, you can choose not to answer if it's, you know.
I resigned for personal reasons, and I don't really want to go into it more than that.
Cool. Diego, what? You mentioned you want to introduce new commuter facilities. What spaces are you planning on using? Other than the venue, where will you put them?
First of all, the venue is the main place because it's a place that's not utilised during the day mainly. Because I've looked at the columns calendar, and usually during the day the only thing it was used for was yoga, excluding some other events. But now yoga was removed, excluding some other events. I'm just naming one, I know. But usually it was yoga, now yoga's been removed from it and it's rarely used compared to any other facility. So it's a great place as well for commuters, because where they get the buses, like majority of commuters that get the bus beside the SU would be a good place for them, as well as a nice place for them to relax. That's outside of the university, that's somewhere where they can go and relax. The point is to make a place they can relax and enjoy themselves.
Just to make a point on that, I think there's a severe lack of space. If you look in the bar, you order food, where are you going to sit? So I think the bar are going to have to start using the venue as well for tables and chairs. And it's a case of putting beanbags in there or else tables and chairs for food.
Also, I knew where this was done 2 years ago, that the venue was a commuter space and there was set up a table and beanbags every day, and it was never used.
In my lecture talks, when I talked to people, I did say that that's how I came up with it, because I remember going to it when I was a commuter, and it was like the most funnest thing ever, with beanbags in there and just relaxing, and it was not like the common room where it's all desks and tables. It was just somewhere we could go and relax. It was just a nice relaxing place, and that's what I want to recreate, because for student engagement, it's just trying to make a place for students to enjoy themselves. I think it can be a great potential, because it was when I was in it, it was great, and I think it should be brought back, and that's why I said commuter space.
Diego.
Yeah?
Really quickly, is it just going to be available for commuters, or is it going to be available to all students?
If you read my manifesto, I say I want to create an inclusive space dedicated for mature and younger students. I'm only calling it a commuter space because I couldn't think of a better name. Sorry.
Mature and younger students.
If a club or society wants to use this commuter space during the day, will that club or society have a priority, or will the commuter space, the computers have?
So I don't want it as a thing that's 24/7. I wanted them the hour. I wanted when the buses arrive. So I'll make a survey for students that when they start going, maybe be once a day, once a week, and see how it goes, and get more times based on commuters who want to use it. So make it revolve around the commuters that use it, so it's times that they can use. So one thing that I got was when the buses leave at 6 o'clock, have it an hour before that, so it's open from 5 to 6 for them to actually enjoy and use. And when the buses arrive.
I love that every answer gets another question.
Okay.
Yeah.
The buses come and go all day though, so what's the point of just having it in the morning and evening?
I'm just giving time, I can't come up with a timetable myself because there's so many commuters. So what I can do is start off with one time and build from that. So I can't make a perfect system straight away. There has to be mistakes. There will be mistakes in it, and the way is start it off, see how it goes, and build up from it. Get the response from the students and build the times around from the students.
Be quick.
Yeah, so I'm just a little bit confused. So
Yeah.
you're calling it a commuter space, but you also said that it's open to mature students and younger students. So do commuters get priority? Like, otherwise it's just going to end up like any other space in the college where it's going to be taken over by people just waiting in between lectures. And commuters are just
last one.
Yeah, okay. That is a fair enough answer, but to my knowledge, I can't actually exclude students from going to any of these spaces because you can't exclude a student from coming to any club or society. Space, yes, but it'd be advertised as a commuter space, so more commuters will go. You can't tell a non-commuter not to go to something, but if you advertise it as something, it will allow more commuters to go and maybe not other students to go. You can't make a perfect system.
Okay, Lorna, you mentioned rugby scholarships, yet all these are for the male teams. There's no scholarships for ladies rugby. How would you ensure there is gender equality across all sports?
Actually, I remember when I was in second year, there was talk of this ladies' scholarship. Ciara Munley, a Leinster rugby player, was talking about getting this scholarship. So I know Dennis is working on things with it. What was the rest of the question? Oh, gender equality.
Gender equality in sports.
Gender equality in sports scholarships. I think the sports scholarships, there's ladies soccer and there's ladies soccer, men's soccer. There's GA scholarships for ladies as well, and there's golf ones as well. So I think it is fair in every single sport. It's just not rugby one.
Take that. Can I take that?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. Just one thing on the scholarships and the teams, because you just mentioned the ladies soccer and the men's soccer, and the women's rugby team actually is there's just rugby. There's no women's rugby club. It's just the rugby club, and the women's rugby are the bottom rung on the rugby thing. As opposed to all the other sports are separate as here's the men's club, here's the women's club, and they operate separately. But the women's actually are I think where the question's coming from is that in particular the women's rugby are kind of getting the short end of the stick on this because they're treated as the bottom rung of their in the same way that other clubs have their seniors and their freshers. The rugby I think is seniors, freshers, then the women. So I think they're probably feeling quite shortchanged by the system currently, and I think that's something that's probably going to need to be corrected for them in particular.
Yep, I agree.
Problem with scholarships for rugby is that you have to pay a barn hall. So I think that's something that you could look into, like in removing that barn hall. They have to pay a barn hall to get a scholarship.
You actually don't. Matthew Millett, a Connacht rugby player, is coming from Rosscarry College. Did not play a barn hall before it, so and he's just one example. So you definitely don't play a barn hall. You definitely don't.
Back to you, Jonah. The ops team was minimised partially due to funding. How will we resolve this? The SU has very limited funding, as we all know, unfortunately. Essentially, where are you going to pull money from to fund an ops team?
I've been in talks with Sandra. There is still a small fund that is there that can still be used for those jobs. That still does exist. I looked into this. I didn't just put it on my manifesto blindly. I researched this to make sure this was a possibility.
We have a question.
I was wondering, do you think that's the best way to like use the SU money, seeing that the club and stock things is not that much there? There's nothing of like getting volunteers in to like work so we can get like experience in there. I mean, if we're using that for the ops team, we can give it for free.
The volunteers, I believe, the best thing to do is to give them like the fun jobs. They can hand out flyers. They can do. There's a lot of fun things that they can do. The hard work can still, like putting down the sand for the beach ball. That takes like about 3 people to do if you want to get or more. And bringing back jobs, people that there needs to be paid for that work, and it also gives experience to the students.
How would you differentiate between you're getting paid and you're going to work on a volunteer basis?
As I'm saying, it would be the specific jobs, the ones that do the cleanup, the ones that are in charge of facilities, the ones that are the admin, or the club and socks rep person, all the harder labor, the cloakroom, all those jobs which should be treated as the jobs, and then the volunteer positions be more of things like similar to how the welfare crew is run this year, where they're doing these kind of things that aren't as hard labor as the ops team job has traditionally done.
But why should I, as a volunteer, want to volunteer if a peer is doing, and I'm going to be honest,
standing up and talking about issues that are vitally important to our college. That's not an easy task to go to people. Okay, yes, I may be a people person, but just because, like, why should that be any different from me?
That's a fair point. I'm not saying there's anything different. I'm saying that there are specific jobs that should stay within the SU that go to students so they can, that also gives work experience and opportunities in their very specific jobs that should stay in place.
I'll take the three comments all together. So,
Yeah, the point of information, them jobs still do exist. There are still people doing the club rooms, there are still people doing sound engineering that are employed with the SU. I think what the guys are alluding to is like even take your part-time executive, they are a voluntary basis and they put in a phenomenal job to then the Irish officer, the promotions officer. So if you're running events and you have ops team who are there to pay and you've a part-time officer even who is elected and has to go through this financial thing that happens to get elected, you know, I think it's this trust that you need to bring back the volunteerism because, you know, they could be working potentially harder out of their own spare time for the good of it, for the extracurricular award, for just doing good things. Also, I think what Miriam was alluding to is there's people actually currently in the SU who volunteer their time who come from different faculties and backgrounds like marketing, development, computer science, who are working on apps development and getting experience and learning how the marketing of the SU works and how to help promote it. So they're giving their time to help better the SU, to get information about campaigns out to students, how's most effective, how can we raise issues about mental health, get the information to students' pockets, phones, building apps, etc. And they're doing that for free. So, sorry, this is just a point. So there is currently six students working on those issues that the general manager is giving them a reference for. So when they go into companies to say they've worked for 6 months around the area of marketing, app development, promotion, etc. Is that not worth more than shoveling sand?
before Jonah responds, I'm going to take the other two questions. Kieran?
Yeah, I'm basically the same thing, like what makes it any different than, like, say, what makes standing out in freezing cold planning a flyers any more difficult, any less difficult than putting sand out? Like, it's kind of, you can't, like, as you're saying, like, you can't really say, I'm going to pay you for this job, not pay you for this job, and I'm going to be able to differentiate between whether or not you should get paid for it.
And the last one, just on this before that, Jonah. Diez? Someone with the hand up, yeah.
I feel though, in his defence, like, if you're doing these positions for like app development or promotion, that's a CV filler. But the people who are doing the ops team, they're showing up and they're getting paid for effectively labour. And they're not going to be able to turn around at the end of the day and go, I shovel sand for the SU for free. And that has to be put there. There has to be some incentive to be there.
There is still those positions, so them positions still exist.
Not as much this year.
Not in the same quantities, but there's still the people that exist are getting more hours doing those things.
No, there's 3 people currently. It's being phased.
Do you want to make a response to them? Do you want to make a response to them?
Yes.
Yeah, the last one, keep it quick.
Like going off what Sam said, there are specific jobs in terms of the labor field, in terms of working in an institution, working in that environment. I'm not disregarding all those other positions and stuff. I'm speaking specifically about the jobs that the ops team and the voids that they do fill with those specific jobs in place.
Okay. James, you say you'll offer better funding to clubs and stocks. The number of clubs and stocks grows every year. How do you plan on providing more funding in spite of plus funding in general?
I suppose the main point I was making on the funding wasn't so much about increasing it so much as making sure that it doesn't get taken away. Like I said, I guess one of the main ways to secure more funding, it just in my opinion, and from what I understand of how the system operates now, is just to get the college to tell us how many bloody students go here, because when we voted on the referendum to bring in all of the new changes and all of the new buildings, we also agreed to up our student contribution. So we're paying more and more each year to help, build things for clubs and societies. So at the same time, they can't turn around and also cut the money away from clubs and societies to help further that, because that really just defeats the purpose entirely. So my main thing and my main point in the capitation is to really be someone who is a very strong voice, and who will not, under any circumstances, let them try and cut back on the money. And we had to, compromise to push up the core capitation at the cost of special events. It shouldn't come down to that for us at the end of the day. So really, I just need to be a strong candidate in there, and you need a strong candidate in there who's not going to let them, they will possibly try and take advantage of someone who can be manipulated. So I'm saying that I'm someone who won't be, and that will ensure that our capitation doesn't get ripped apart, basically.
You mentioned you wanted to fix the website and just make a new one. It's been overhauled anyway. By the time if you're elected, by the time you get into office, there'll be a new website there. Is your job essentially done?
First of all, it's not the actual MSU website that's been redesigned, because I was talking to Eric. It's actually the administration of the website, so it's a part of the website that's been redesigned. I was informed by Eric. Am I right? You're doing a connection from the website. So I want to when you go into MSU website, I want to rehaul that, not the administration side of it for clubs and societies. I want to actually revamp the MSU side of it, if that makes sense. I can go in more detail if people want.
Lorna, you mentioned timetabling as being a huge issue, but that's not controlled by the SU, and as VP, you'll have no say over it. How are you going to fix that?
I think you can work with the reservations office to kind of fix that. Even to look at a timetable for the small and big sports halls. I know, I don't know if I'm wrong here. I know that dance sock in particular are out in the common room and they're out in the front of Phoenix because I can't get a space. So maybe if you can lobby for them a bit with the reservation office, I think that's the way to fix that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, just saying from dance, but they generally use the sports halls, which isn't reservations. It's the sports office.
You can lobby with the sports office.
Jonah? Yes, Jonah? Sorry. Sorry. Jonah, more funding issues. How do you plan to fund the commuters staying in conference and accommodation, as well as being in more paid jobs such as the ops team? So we'll focus on the accommodation side this time though. Conference and accommodation, you said you wanted to put commuters up there.
I've been in contact with the South Campus. My idea is basically, when I was talking to commuters and they're telling me that their issue with going on nights out, it's a gamble of what's the best night to go out. And they told me, and the consensus I got from my friends was that the nights they enjoyed the most were the bigger events, the big collaborative events with clubs and societies. So I thought of the idea that once a month you'd have, I was thinking you could call it Theme Tuesdays or Theme Thursdays, be once a month, so you have, say, October's Haunted House theme, December, whichever. And I have been in contact with South Campus that a certain number of commuters could stay the night there, and possibly there could be a discount put in place that they could enjoy said night.
If I remember this right, on South Campus you can't go after a certain time at night, you can't go back in. 1 o'clock, sorry, I shouldn't remember the time off the top of my head, so that would have kind of stopped that completely, because you couldn't do it, because after 1 o'clock the students, like your normal nightlife, to my knowledge, ends around 2, 3 o'clock. I mean,
I'm just wondering, because like money is a big issue. Where are you planning on getting the money to pay these extra members of the ops team, and where are you planning on being able to subsidise the discount that you're talking about commuters with? Like, where are you going to get this money from?
That well, Kieran.
Yeah, and also there are people who live around there. Like, I mean, the people who live on South Campus aren't going to want a lot of commuters coming back drunk from events. Yeah, they're not going to want a bunch of drunk commuters coming around and screaming their heads off like, yeah! Just to get up in the morning the next day. You know what I mean? So how do you feel you're going to combat that?
Which question do I answer first? Okay, well, I wouldn't, with these events, first of all, I wouldn't want to be promoting as a solely drinking type of event or that sort of thing, but I had very good conversations with South Campus. They're very, very interested in the idea and the possibility of it, and if it would happen next year. And in regards, I have, as I said, I have researched, there is a funding for the ops team. It does still exist. I've been in contact with Sandra about it.
James, you've mentioned, I think, that you want to do the newspaper articles and more news around Clubs and Socks. But isn't the newspaper separate to the Clubs and Socks officer? Do you then plan to absorb the editor position into the Clubs and Socks officer?
No, absolutely not. I think it's a simple case of working with your editor. So what the gist of my thing with the newspaper is that really it needs to come back. And so what I really want to do is support the SU newspaper in making a return in whatever form. And my manifesto mentioned online because I think online is probably the way to go, and the one candidate running agrees. But at the same time, it's in the Constitution that there has to be 3 printed, and it says print, which means a publication, and that might be something we look to overturn depending on what people want. I like having a physical paper. I think not everybody necessarily uses websites. It's nice to have something you can just pick up and look at. You can advertise in it. Clubs and Socks can advertise in it. But at the same time, it might be, if it's cost inefficient, as it seems to be, because I know the newspaper editor this year seemed to have a really hard time getting someone to actually print the thing, which seems to be one of the main blockades of getting the newspaper up and running, which is why I feel that doing it online is probably the best way forward in conjunction with the website that's being developed currently. I think that, and on top of that, I'd like to hopefully find people, probably most likely media people, a promotions officer, people who will be willing to attend events and just report what happened, to say what the events were like, talk about even if it's members of clubs and societies themselves that they send in to our newspaper editor. Here's the event that's on. Here's how it went. Here's our events that are coming up next week. So that when you use the website, you know exactly what's coming up. You can use the website. Here's our paper. Here's your peers telling you what they think is going on. What's happening right now with the clubs and societies, and what's coming up for clubs and societies. I think it's an excellent way to promote this, and I think it's a simple case of working with your newspaper editor to achieve this. Yeah, John.
I do fully agree with bringing back the paper and bringing it online. The one thing that I think that there's an issue, seeing it happen twice, because I knew both people that ran for editor and became editor and then resigned. I think just having the editor is the issue. It's having one person to see if they can run the entire thing. I think, wouldn't you introduce a team in place, like a whole production team that would help the editor overall?
Yeah, well, I mentioned in my manifesto that I was interested in a media crew. Like I said, that just people, a team of people who would be willing to go to events for the help, because obviously the newspaper editor, he is one person, he can't be everywhere, so he does absolutely, I agree, need the support of people, and there are so many people between the literary society, there's poets society, Inklings, there's people who love to write and would love the opportunity to write for him, I hope. So I think that there should be a team that supports him, and his role as newspaper editor would be to just collect all these things, edit them together, publish what's publishable, and throw out what isn't publishable, and that's exactly how I can assist him, is by helping bring together people who would be willing to help write the paper.
You talk about newspaper, but that's not necessarily to do with clubs and socks or student engagement. It's kind of separate a little bit, like in your
I'd argue that you could say it's student engagement. It's a way of engaging the students by letting them know what clubs and societies are all about. Now, I think it's just as fair for you to say that just about anything would be called student engagement for us. But because there is a separate newspaper editor, but I do think that as far as the website goes and the newspaper goes, it is a real, and because when I was in first year, the newspaper was being published, and I had my little wrestling society, we had a nice big ad in the paper that was published. So here's our event coming up, our big monthly event, and so and I was really happy to see it in there, that people knew when they picked up the paper that we had something coming up. So I feel it's a good way for clubs and societies to promote themselves, as well as all the other articles and such that would go into a newspaper. This is one of the things I would need to research. I think that you're right in saying that printing a newspaper is very, very expensive, and so that's why I'm kind of, one of the things I emphasised was moving into online over, because the website is being revamped as is. So I think probably most likely the way it'll go forward is to go online, because while I'd like a printed paper, and we are mandated to print a paper, I think it's probably something that'll have to be done away with, because, and it does look like the biggest obstacle to us printing a paper is the fact that it's very expensive.
Yeah, I'm going to stop there.
Oh.
Just because printing papers, not your job.
I have something on that.
On the newspaper?
Yeah,
or on,
no, on the thing.
is it very relevant?
Yes.
Is it very relevant?
It's in the Constitution. It's in the Constitution. Just clarify, are you saying that it's the editor's job to promote the club studies, because based on the Constitution?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Sorry, it sounds like to me that you're telling that the editor does all the promotion, where it's in our Constitution where we have to promote the clubs and societies and their engagement. Sorry, I just want to clarify that.
I know it's leaning over you close, you'd say.
That's fine.
No, I'm just saying of course our job is to help promote as well as the paper and the promotions officer and all the others. There's so much that goes into the money, but I guess it's just one of many means we can use to promote.
Sticking with finances, there was financial issues of Phenomenon of the management, and actually is now marked as it's a paid service, even despite there's no coaches at some of the training sessions. It's still a paid service. Can you explain these and how you're going to manage finances of all clubs and societies?
Oh, I was waiting for this. Sorry, okay, first of all, Phenomenon was on its dying legs. It was the year before it was dying. I'm sorry, the year before it had a really low attendance. I did something. Can I answer the question? Okay, so for Phenomenon, I took over as it was dying. Okay, I decided to go all out. I did something that the Phenomenon has never done before, which was get special events in the size of never before. I tried to do it like a big convention. I got an international speaker coming from all the way from America. I organised timetables, events. The failure was I had no control. I had control of the money, but every action I took was stopped. But it was my fault for allowing it to happen. It was one of my failures, but I learned from it. And for example, for archery, is anyone knows archery, and Owen, I think you should do because you do archery. Archery is an expendable sport. Arrows break, arrows of this. We're now one of the biggest clubs on campus. We have arrows breaking all the time. How come we have to replace all this equipment, and special events is not giving this to us? We do not have the money to replace all the equipment. We have over 30 to 40 people active per training session every day. We bring in 200 people a week into trainings, and then in total per month we have 1,000 people. Don't believe this? We have a log of all trainings now, of all members that come to training with their student numbers and their names. Thirdly, archery is expensive. It costs approximately per bow €400. An arrow costs €5 per hour. Students, as you know, students break arrows on a regular basis. If you have 40 people in a training session shooting arrows all the time, breaking hay in the wall, that's a lot of money. We spend over €600 on arrows.
That's just not backed up by the fact that your attendance these competitions have not been that high. So that's patently lying.
Sorry,
before you respond.
If you have to charge for attendance two training sessions that are not facilitating a coach, then you are financially excluding people that could possibly not be able to front that cost.
Before you respond, can I the other responses?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did James have one?
Just a minor thing on that. Are you taking both names and student numbers for attendance in archery?
We when they register, they put their student numbers down, but we only take their names and we have an attendance log.
Can I have all the questions and then he can give one response rather than getting stuck on the topic? So we.
Yeah, I was just wondering. You say 1,000 people. Is that 1,000 different individuals?
Oh no,
and
sorry.
Before you respond again.
Because that's very, very important.
Yeah.
Just on the charges for archery, it is 20 cents a session, which is basically just a nominal thing. Yes, we are going to put something back into it. That pays for the paper targets that people shoot up each day. It's more just kind of a demonstration.
Also in the Diego defence, it was voted in by the society as a whole. It was not a committee decision. We put it to EDF vote.
There was a club discussion before the EDF vote. I'm just wondering about Phenomenon. You said you brought in an international speaker. There are several Irish speakers like voice artists and stuff. Like Ireland has loads of talented voice artists. Would not be cheaper and more effective to bring in one of them instead of spending a lot of money flying someone in and putting someone.
Okay.
Can I just take Owens and Eric's and then Diego responds and it's all done?
How bad is the financial situation that you're trying to charge only 20 cents for a thing that's still for a session that's still making a difference?
It makes a big difference.
Yoga charge. Okay, can I answer? Okay, so there's so many questions. Sorry. Okay, who was the first person? And
There
just
was 1,000 people set.
1,000 people. Okay, re-clarify. I literally do it per training session, so it does include people coming back to more than one training session. That's it. I hope that clarifies your answer. Yeah. Sorry, it was just we get over each training session. So I'm counting like even people that come at the same time. It's 1,000 people that come and use the boats, even if it includes the same people. Who was the next question? Sorry, I can't.
James.
Oh, he said it to me, the answer.
Okay.
20 cents.
20
charge.
Guys, so to clarify, it's we as a committee basically we're trying to make the club one of our aims is to make the club enjoyable. We can't have people in our club shooting equipment that is damaged because, as you can tell, archery is a dangerous sport. We shoot things at targets. So if there's malfunctioning equipment, they shouldn't really be shooting them. So the whole point of 20-cent charge was that we were like, we need to repair equipment, but we do not have the funding to constantly repair equipment as they are breaking. This is not due to ill training, to malthing. This is because wear and tear. A bow is supposed to be used by one person, and it's being used by 6 to 7 people. We had a club discussion offering the possible scenarios, which we had 5 options. 1 was closing training sessions. 2 was restricting the numbers of people going to each training session. 3 was to actually limit training sessions so people could apply to training sessions. And 4 was paying a charge. People chose the paying in the payments, and we discussed how much. This was not decided by the committee, this is decided by the club. And then who was the next question?
Was that them all, I think? Can you give him 30 seconds and he doesn't need to respond?
It's Eric.
Eric, what do you say?
Just, I suppose, after 2 years in the job, I could probably pull up dirt on everyone on that stand there.
That's good to know.
No, but what I'm saying is, everyone makes mistakes. I don't think candidates should be judged on mistakes they've made. Everyone makes mistakes. There's been people who've had money that's been crushed in the back of a car, they've crashed, that's vanished, and receipts disappeared. There's numerous mistakes that happen on a daily basis. I think the important thing is here you encourage people to try. Yoga charged €2 for every lesson, kickboxing charged €3 for every lesson, and I know they provide coaching, but every club has to do what it has to do. Each individual, they're governed by their own constitution. You're there to represent their needs in terms of funding, and I suppose if a committee or a group of people decide that's the best running of the club, I don't think a person running for a candidacy to represent their voices and their needs, especially if you're coming from a club that has to now charge for stuff, I think they'd actually better represent the needs. So there's 103 different clubs and societies, all with different issues, and I think everyone makes mistakes, but I think you should move on into what else they're going to do for us rather than pinpointing the mistakes they've made in the past. Thank you.
We're going to have some more questions for all panelists because I've got some interesting ones. And everyone's starting to freeze and we're like an hour late, so...
Yeah, why is it so cold in here?
No idea. Anyway, we're going to start with Lorna because you deal with that. So, what happens to students that don't want to be in a club society? What are you going to do for them?
I think a lot of encouragement can be done. I think there's a lot of promotion from the MSU can be done as well. Stuff like cleaning up after Christmas Day, if you want to get involved that way. Charities, Mary McCourt was trying to get singers to sing, Carol sing for them in the street as well. So if they don't want to get involved in that, they can do that. Yeah, and a lot of, just a lot of charity work can be done that way. And just promotion from the MSU can be done, that people just that don't have time for club and societies.
Jonah, you're on that same one. What happens to students that don't want to be involved in clubs and socks? What are you going to do with them? Student engagement?
There's definitely a large percentage of students that don't always get active in clubs and societies or stay active in clubs and societies. But with the position of student engagement, it's looking at the larger population and seeing what other ways you can engage with them, with being more out there, with making them more aware of what happens within the SU. Like a lot of first years that when they realize there's more to the SU than just the bar and the venue itself and everything else. and that's
it.
I think the phrasing of this question is kind of odd because it's asking people who don't want to be involved. I have so many like ideas and considerations for how I'd like to get people who involved, particularly introverted people. You know, people who maybe want to go to things but they don't necessarily. Like myself in first year, I found it quite hard to go to. You know, it's hard to go to new things. So I like one of the things I said in my newspaper interview on the MU Times. You're going to give that a look. Is talking about how you do well. I intended to say, I don't think you can look at it either way. But one of the things I intended to say was, you know, one of the things I considered in terms of in the awarding and capitation, I thought it'd be an idea would be to look more favourably on in a capitation form that encourages that has particular events that are targeted towards first years or just new members in general who people aren't involved. I think so. For example, with drama, we have a debutantes festival, which is only for people who have never performed with the society before. With Lit and Deb, we do maidens, which is for people who've never debated before. Stuff like that, I think, is stuff that really should be encouraged on our end. But as far as the question of people who don't want to be involved, if it's someone who just says, I don't want to be involved, we have so many clubs and societies to be involved in all sorts of hobbies and interests for you. If you just don't want to be involved, you don't want to be involved, and I can't drag you to come to events if you don't want to go. So ultimately, if it's people who don't want to be involved, then they won't be involved, and that'll be it, I guess.
Okay. So when I was talking to students, and the students that said they're not involved, the main thing was because they feel that a lot of societies and clubs were cliquey, and is that they couldn't get into the club and societies because they felt that there was this clickiness. So the one thing that I would like to do is get club and societies every 2 months or so, make an event that's just for new people. Just going, this event is for new people. Also encourage through the activity roles that club and society has to do. For example, like Fairs Day. Fairs Day attract a lot of people that don't do clubs and societies, and I like to make basically push that and have club and societies there. So when people go there, they can actually see and take part of club and societies, but in a way that's not too intensing. It's just a sports day, but maybe change the title into like just kind of increase. Make it an event that brings all club societies together, but to also to demonstrate what they do to all students in a light and hearted way. That's what I'm saying.
Another question for all of you. What is your plan for the careers fair day?
I believe with working with the office, also the education officer, first of all, there'd be a collected partnership working on the careers fair together. I believe possibly there maybe should be 2 of them, one within first semester, one within second semester, and to make sure the careers office is active in it and promote it as large event as both Fairs days.
I mean, I'd say I have no particular aims or goals to revamp the thing. I like it as is. I had something else to say. Crap. No, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. I do like it as is. I guess the one thing I just promoted, make sure people actually know what's happening is and I guess you're covering good ground. I don't think it needs any major restructuring.
I should clarify this. One of your constitutional requirements is ensure the union's involvement in the management and running of relevant campus-wide events, including but not limited to, and one of those is the Careers Fair Day. So this is one of your jobs, is organising this. In terms of what's happened,
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, in terms of it's good enough as it is. There isn't one.
I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry. I should just clarify that. You can say it now, but I should
That's
clarify
fine. It's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
One of the things, the Constitution, when they added the education officer, they didn't change. What? Sorry. So they added the education officer, and I think that should be changed over to the education officer, because it's a Fairs Day that mainly deal with education. But one thing I would still Sorry, don't look at me like that. Sorry, stop confusing me. Sorry. And but I'll still work on it because it's still under my mandate. But also, I want to include access into a bigger part because they are a big source of students, like hair students who are hair and dare students. I want to try to get more access knowledge to them because currently access gives all that information, but put into careers there where a lot of students don't register with the access office. It'll be great potential to see students who have socioeconomic, financial difficult backgrounds and in the DARE route can see that there is potential future for them. And that's it.
The question was about the clubs and socks fair day.
No,
It's
careers
there.
fair.
Yeah.
We'll see what is your plan for the careers fair day that you will have to run next year.
I know for clubs and socks fairs there is a new system coming in where you can just sign up to MSU and then it's a case of the Club Society ticking a box to see where you are. Something to mirror that system, I think would be effective. If that would work.
Okay. That's a nasty one. What would you do if the university reneged on their agreement for new facilities promised? Reneged? So basically, if the university goes back on their, we've all paying a student levy, if they go back on it, what are you going to do?
I suppose the first thing I'd do is I'd fuck them out of it, I'd say, is where I'd start. Honestly, it would be the bit, if they reneged on us, I guess the first thing that we do is paying us back all the levies. I would feel, this is something I really feel strong about, that when we voted on the levies, we were promised this and we were promised that. It's up in, when you walk into Phoenix, you can see debating chamber, you can see drama, we were promised a black box space theatre, which is, by the way, an empty room, basically. It's a big open space, it's not that hard to build, and we do what we want afterwards. I think it'd be disastrous, it'd be borderline criminal as a law student, I think, if they try to pull something like that. So I wouldn't be too impressed, and I guess what would come next would be pretty nasty for me, I think.
I don't think they should misjudge students, as we knew from the last, marriage equality election. We do have a say, and we do have a say. That's saying the same thing. But we can actually fight them on it. We can actually protest because they promise us something and we have evidence of that. We'll fight them, get the student body behind us. Because if it's just the council, it's not going to do much. But if it's the whole student body fighting for it, I think we can actually make them regret deciding to ever do that. And that's it.
Suppose you could sue. You could sue for empty promises.
And we do have a lawyer.
Diego will get us a lawyer.
We do have one.
We can use that lawyer. I'll just go with James on this. We can fight against it, and the facilities are for us. So, what better voices to come from the students?
What would you do if so essentially, if they refuse to build the buildings that we were promised with the levy?
Well, that would definitely go in line with getting the student body behind making a stance against the university and really campaigning against the university for fighting for the facilities to have them for the students.
Okay. And one final question before we all face to death. If you could only implement one thing next year, if elected obviously, what would it be? Essentially, which of your things is most important? One.
My innovation idea, because that entails so much, mainly because it'll make campus life easier for students, bringing the MSU to you. So I think that's the most important, making it easier for students. Am I supposed to explain the idea or just choose?
Which one is your favourite, I guess?
Yeah, that one. Read my manifesto if you don't know about it.
What's your most, if you only get one thing done next year, what would you do? One thing. Do you have a question about that?
Could we actually get an explanation rather than just the word inflation?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the reason why I is trying to choose, trying to choose words is very difficult for things. So innovation is basically making it easier for students to know what's going on. It's the biggest problem. When I go talk to students, do you know about Club Society? They have no clue. They have to go searching for the information. I want to bring the information, bring the MSU to you, not the students to the MSU. Okay? Yeah, okay, so first of all, it's the arts block, okay? The arts block poster system is terrible. You don't know what's going on. It's all a mess. It's all everywhere. So I want to reorganize in a way that you know what's going on. So one of my ideas, my main idea for the arts block is make it into calendars, make it into a day calendar, and then I want to first see how that goes. And then if that works, I want to separate it into events. So into like film nights, game nights, all this. So when students come, they can actually see what's going on. Second thing is with Fairs Day. I want to do a big pre-Fairs Day campaign, telling students all about Fairs Day, where to go, how much to bring, what it costs, what's it all about, so students know the information. And yeah, that's yeah. Do I pass on?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you could only get one thing done next year, what would be basically what's your most important thingy?
I think to highlight the importance of the people's effort that people put into their clubs and societies, and the extracurricular award needs to be more recognised. A lot of people give up a lot of time, like everyone campaigning. I'm sure you're probably gone to no lectures this week. Yeah, so just to instill the importance of our clubs and societies and to promote that award and make sure the university staff know that more people deserve it.
Like, just on your extracurricular award, have you looked at what's done in other institutes? For example, DCU's unique module or anything like that, which is their awards for extracurricular and how they're done there?
Not yet.
If it was just one thing, I would make sure that communication among clubs and societies is efficient all year with consistent Club and Sox Council, with the weekly poster in the SU and online, and with the trainings also as part of the communication, to keep that constantly flowing all year round, so club societies and students always know what's happening and know ahead of time.
I think above all else, on my manifesto, I think the most important thing that I could do for all of the clubs and societies is make sure that they get all of the money that they need to function. I think as much as I'd love to be around and be a helping hand in the process, I think I'd prefer that you saw less of me if you were still able to function and had all of the means to function without even having to see me in the first place. So I think more than everything else, I guess I would go into boardrooms and I would argue with everybody and anybody to make sure that the Club and Sox have everything that they need to function next year.
Final questions. Can I take that last one?
That was the last question.
Oh, okay. In that case, we will end with closing statements.
We'll never know what the question was. I'll always wonder.
Can you turn the
We'll
heat
end with closing statements from the candidates, if they want to make one. We will do this in reverse order to our opening statements. So, Jonah, you're first. So again, just limit of 2 minutes each. By closing statements. Just 2 minutes and then we're done. Just say close your whatever.
Clubs and societies are extremely important to me and to engaging with the large majority of the campus that are not engaged. As I said earlier, the Kilkenny campus, the St. Pat students, mature students, making sure that as much are engaged as possible, making the strongest link with the universities. They know that the student union is a good place and a strong voice to all the departments, and making sure that the club societies have consistent communication, and so do the students, making sure that clubs and societies are getting fair training and consistent training throughout the year, and that Careers Fair, Fairs Day, all those events are as big and important as possible to include everyone. As I said, Ohana means family, family means no one gets left behind or forgotten.
I'm going to get up and move because it's fucking freezing.
So my final remarks and my final point will be, I suppose, is that because we talked so much about all of our intentions and our goals, and we all have the best of intentions for clubs and societies next year. So what I'd like you all to take away from this tonight, and for everything that's been said, is that not just what's been said, but how people intend to achieve the things that they speak about. You at the end of the day, no matter who wins, they need to be someone who's strong, who can work well alongside the other Sabbats, and can also work well with suits and so many names and so many boards that they have to sit on and argue for all of you. Each and every one of you needs to be represented by all of us, all the Sabbats, and we are one of those. And I hope that I've presented myself tonight as someone who will really try his best to just argue and stand for you, make sure you get everything that you need, and that's really the crux of my whole argument. I've made promises of how to better engage you with things like the newspaper and the website and making sure that I'm available, that you can speak to me, that you get the things that you need. But ultimately, what it comes down to is being able to get those things, because it's no good promising them if you can't deliver at the end of the day. So what I hope that you'll consider when all is said and done is who can deliver, who will be a strong voice for all of clubs and societies, and I hope that you will consider James Browne, myself, for that position.
Okay, so my cousin is simple. I want to literally bring myself onto campus. I want to give campus a bit of energy. I want to make it more like me. I want. That's how it works. Sorry, but basically, I want them societies to learn. I want them to be able to progress, to try new things, to push forward and not be held back. I want them to make mistakes. I want them to learn. I want them to strive at new things. All my ideas, all I'm thinking about is how to make this campus better, how to make students enjoy campus life more, how to get part more. So I'm going to leave it short and simple. Read my manifesto. Please vote for me on Wednesday. Thank you.
Firstly, I'd like to stand up. Firstly, I'd just like to thank everyone who came here tonight for volunteering their time. It's absolutely freezing and it's nearly bedtime. And especially to Kieran Bray, who might have missed Fair City tonight to come out here.
Recorded on Skype
there. Just credit to all the other candidates for going as well. If I can't get your number one, I can get your number two hopefully by the end of tonight. And I really believe that I can do a really good job, and no one can question that. So.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for, because it's really cold. I still have a whole heap of questions. I'd like to thank everyone for coming on, you guys, the candidates. Everyone reporting to me. And I'd also like to call you all leave. Just remind everyone that we are back here again tomorrow.